The last time I did this, I threw up. So let's see what happens.
Holy shit. I have to kill the enemies. Get him, get him. Kill him, shoot him, come here. Kill him. Look at me go. Shit, I'm gonna fall over. Oh my God.
Oh my God, that is so intense. My proudest moment. And I mean, I cannot stress how intensive an experience it is to sort of look up in the cockpit and just to see, and then to try to steer the whole ship. I mean, do you find players, overwhelmed playing for such long periods of time? It's such an intense, visceral experience.
Yeah, I think once you get it, it's fine. You can play for a long time, just like you would any other competitive shooter. But we find that when people first put on the headset and they get in the cockpit and they're out there in space, they're not looking around them at first, because it's not natural to do that. We're used to playing on a 2D plane where the thumbsticks or the mouse and keyboard control our character. In Valkyrie, you really get situational awareness by moving your head around at all times, keeping your head on a pivot, looking up, above you, seeing where your teammates are, where the enemies are. And once that clicks for you, once you get that, you really feel like you're there. And when you take the headset off, it's kind of weird to not be there all of a sudden, because that's how immersive it is.
I felt that immediately.
Maybe sit down next time you play instead of standing up, just for safety.
Probably not poorly planned. I mean, how many of these design elements had to be changed for the VR experience when contrasted with this just being like, a 2D monitor space sim?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this game was built completely from the ground up for VR. So
really?
Yeah, it was born on VR. We did not make a game first and bring it over. So for us, it was about learning how to make games in VR, which no one's really done before on this level. And so for us, it's about finding out how does the UI work, the different focal lengths. Like, you don't want to be looking at something up close and then having to switch very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, do simple menus become impossible in this sort of environment?
Yeah, I mean, we have to think about it differently. I mean, you don't want to be pulling down menus and having things all over the screen you have to interact with. It really has to be seamless, fluid. Our goal is actually really to put you there, to have that sense of presence and immersion and make you feel like you're in the cockpit, and to be really in the moment with you, your teammates fighting.
Quick save, I can see it getting a lot bigger than 3D for sure. 3D's
covered
stupid.
in VR,
But
and
VR?
tactics that you would use as a
That's
team,
the next big
it's
thing.
all different. I mean, that station there, in a real match, you could go all the way under and around and up above to use that as cover.
Oh, I did that. That freaked me right the hell out, yeah. And, this is a pretty big endeavor to embark upon with a technology that's not widely adopted yet. I mean, what is CCP's sort of long-term view on VR?
We are obviously, very, very big into VR. We think it's one of the future directions that gaming's going, especially on the PC platform. So, I mean, we believe in it a lot. I mean, at CCP for a long time, we've sort of said, internally, we want to make games more meaningful than real life, right? And we had to qualify that a lot before VR came along. People kind of thought we were crazy.
Yeah, the biggest difference is it was a fad in the 90s, true.
Very
true.
In games,
just like 3D was in the 70s and 80s. But now VR is much better than it was, whereas 3D didn't really change that much.
With the EVE experience?
For us, we see EVE Online and EVE Valkyrie as very separate experiences. I mean, this game is really all about, getting you into the cockpit, getting you out, getting you into combat. It's multiplayer, competitive,
But that's also my opinion.
It's very different than EVE, and they work very, very separately from one another. EVE has combat and has intense moments, as anybody who's been, gate camped knows. But it's also, it's a lot more too about, the metagame, the politics, the corporations. This is just sheerly about the thrill and the intensity of combat.
And for any of you who have not gotten the chance to try it, I strongly recommend you give it a shot. It is an absolutely insane, intense experience, and I can't wait to see it in full form. Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming out.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our very next guest is one of the creators of a game called DayZ. Oh, revered. He worked on DayZ for quite a while before departing to create his own studio and his upcoming projects. So please join me in welcoming Dean Hall from RocketWorks. Dean! Welcome to the show, Dean.
Cheers.
Now, Dean, I want to start right away by talking about early access. You're one of the people with the biggest range of experience with early access. What do you feel like the status of it is right now?
Well, I guess I kind of have mixed feelings in some ways. Like, it's given us games like Kerbal Space Program, Prison Architect, but it also has its challenges, both for consumers and developers.
Right.
And I mean, I think Valve's refund program has helped a bit with maybe perceptions and stuff like that, but it's challenging as a developer, particularly when your game gets really popular.
Now, that seems sort of paradoxical. I feel like most people would say, oh, it's great to be popular, but what was the strain that you were under?
Well, I mean, one of the advantages of early access is, like with Kerbal Space Program, the scope was allowed to get bigger. But if your game gets really popular and you're continually redefining your scope, then you kind of lose perspective of your roadmap. And I think that's why I feel the roadmap's super important.
Yeah, and what exactly would that constitute? Like, if you were working on another early access project, how would you want to communicate it outwardly to the consumer?
Well, I played a game called Neo Scavenger, and hopefully people know it, it's PC Gamer, so it had a really great roadmap that told you like what stuff was completed, and I think that was something I learned as being super important.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Because otherwise people don't have a picture of where your game's at.
So with your upcoming game, Ion, let's take a look at some of the trailer footage, and I want to know what, in your eyes, is the first big target for a project that's this ambitious?
Well, I think
I don't think I trust Dean Hall anymore,
a great
guys.
game is more
After
about what you
seeing
don't put in than what
DayZ.
you do. So I guess in some ways it's easier to describe what this isn't. You know, it's not Star Citizen, it's not Elite, it's not Eve. We wanted to look at what happens inside the stations. So we're using a more Diablo-style camera. It's based on a game that I absolutely love called Space Station 13. Has anyone played Space Station 13 out there? Yeah, look at that.
You and you and you.
Honk,
Yes.
honk, honk, honk. So, yeah. I guess that's kind of where I come from with that.
Yeah, I'm actually curious with Ion. I mean, this sort of footage, it sort of hints to the gameplay, but if I open up Ion, what am I literally seeing and literally doing in the game in those early steps?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Quick
I mean,
save.
we're trying to give people an opportunity to see what it's like to be a pioneer and go around the stations. So we're sort of stitching together these regions and then allowing players to have their own region and then walk around the region. So yeah, I mean, we wanted to get back from that first-person view and actually get back into that Diablo-style view. So it becomes more about what you're doing in the game.
So is it not a 3D environment, or is it like 2D?
It is.
It's like a Z
No, it's a
plane?
3D environment. It's
Okay.
not true isometric, but yeah, offset camera.
So, I mean, I know that there's a lot of ambition going into this project, and there's some people that feel like you abandoned the DayZ project. It had such a huge, ambitious scope. I mean, it pretty much spawned the zombie survival genre. And then you departed. I know a lot of people were upset. I mean, I think even on your Twitter it said that you're going to block people who talk about DayZ.
I did for a while, yeah.
Nice.
I didn't though, yeah. That's kind of stupid.
Well, now you can mute them. I'm kidding. Please tweet at me, at Day9TV. Now, well, I'm curious how, with that stigma, how you try to shirk that and deal with that when you're working on this next project.
Yes, Camille.
I think a lot of it comes down to learning the lessons, and I think that when I first came up with DayZ, it was an accident. I mean, it was a mod that I thought maybe 50 people would play, but a lot of people played it. And when I first looked at what to do, I realized I didn't have the resources, and so I sold it to Bohemia, who I knew had the ability to make the game. And I stayed a lot longer than I'd originally intended, but Ion is an example of a game that I've always wanted to make, and yeah, so it's a challenge, and I think really it's now about me proving that I have learned lessons and that, yeah, we deliver on stuff.
So, what do you expect to be a timeline to where we can begin to get our hands on it? What would you want that initial prototype to be?
Well, we're showing very little at the moment because we're very conscious that to really make early access work and to make a decent game, we need to have more of a Besieged style approach. Who's played Besieged? Yeah, look at that. It's good, right?
I built a
they
catapult.
made a really polished core, and I think that's exactly what early access needs. So that's what we're doing. We don't have an exact time frame for that. We've already pushed a couple of times. Yeah.
Now, because we only have a short time left, I have to ask, having played DayZ, I want to know for Ion, what's the best bug thus far?
Oh, the best bug, yeah. So, fairly recently, when you were clicking on another player, all their organs fell out. It's a persistent game, so when your brain fell out, you couldn't do anything. So, and also your liver is kind of important.
And if a kidney falls out, you're actually okay, you have another kidney, right?
That's right, yeah. Although all your organs fell out, so...
So you have realistic organ simulation?
Yeah. The technology we're using, Improbable, the company that I've partnered for a joint venture in London, they've made this amazing technology that allows us to simulate all entities in the world. And I think that's what's really been able to allow us to double down on the concept.
Well, you've teased a lot of cool ideas. I look forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dean Hall.
Thanks, PC Gamers.
Thank you, Dean.
PC.
I'm going to step around my chair in the unusual suitcase brought from AMD that I'm not entirely sure what's inside, because this is now a time to halt talking and to do the first live demo on stage. Ooh. Yes, thank you for buying into that. The game is going to be one that you may have seen on Kickstarter that had one of the best Kickstarter videos of all time. It's a game called Strafe. Please join me in welcoming from Pixel Titans, Tom Gallant and Stephen Rainey. Hello, welcome.
What's up, Doug?
Let's go ahead and get set up over here on the side. Now, I've seen the Kickstarter video, and I want to know a little bit about what the inspiration for Strafe is.
The inspiration for Strafe is paying homage to the games we loved in our childhood.
I do their favorite. I tell them they're crying.
Giving it infinite replayability.
Yeah. I mean, well, first let's talk about the environment. My understanding is that everything in the game has a procedurally generated component to it.
So it's Minecraft
is
Doom?
everything we're seeing procedural, or these handcrafted rooms?
These are all handcrafted rooms. Each zone will have 40 to 50 rooms in it, filled with entrances, exits, different geometry, and secrets. And the engine kind of, puts them together. They'll unlock them, change things every time you play. Enemies have
looks like
behaviors,
Doom and Minecraft,
so every
guys.
time you jump in, it should be a different experience.
Or
And you talk
Unreal
about the idea
Tournament
of
Minecraft
having
Edition.
secrets locked in there. You're talking about the Quake Doom style, really capturing that element?
Yeah, we have a bunch of monster closets in the game tied to different events, as well as just having unique levels and very different gameplay experiences in the secret levels.
So, how do you play test the sort of procedurally generated environment? I mean, do you have fears of redundant content, people re-entering the same rooms again? What keeps it fresh?
By all means. We have a lot of scripting that will tell the levels how to behave, and just through playing them again and again and again, we're able to find the things we like and we don't like and just work around it.
And in terms of these monsters, are they...
I was talking Minecraft in terms of
animation. I'm noticing this sort of
Quick
rock
save.
monsters the first time we've got a chance to see them.
Oh yeah, well this whole zone is brand new. We're showing it off here first. Some of these enemies are brand new, and they all have different behaviors. They don't just see you and run after you. So the rock monster, he starts in a hiding state. He'll aggro, and then there's different, waves of his behavior.
I gotta say, I love the very chunky bullets. Each bullet is clearly a rectangular prism. I mean, I know you've talked about the goal of being an homage to these old games, but you do have the opportunity to use more advanced
It's the PC
technology.
Gaming
Where do you
E3. Odolph.
ride the line between wanting new and fresh and wanting to stick true to the old vision?
Well,
Just the
we
PC
wanted to
gaming
bring,
show.
things that couldn't happen back then to the game. So
Yeah.
we have all of the blood and the guts in the game are persistent. So every time you play, you just can paint rooms red. You can, cover them with this acid. So if you actually step on the acid, you'll get hurt. So you can actually put yourself into a corner, and with these weapons, you just picked up a rocket launcher, and you can't reload these weapons we're using as power-ups. You
really?
empty them, and then they turn into a different type of weapon. With the rocket launcher, turned into a baseball bat melee-style weapon.
So this is a gun that we're about to see thrown?
Yes.
So when my gun runs out of bullets, I just throw it.
Yes. When you start the game, you choose between a machine gun, a railgun, and a shotgun.
Okay.
And those will be your core weapons throughout the game, in which you level them up. You kind of they adapt and evolve, and you'll kind of always default back to those. But there'll be plenty of things for you to fight within the game.
So of course I got to know what is the sort of expected gameplay loop like of someone who sits down to play?
Well, you jump in, you shoot stuff in the face, you paint shit red, and then you die and do it over again. So,
Clean and elegant. You should hang out with tripwires.